These COVID lockdowns and inconveniences are not going to last forever. And if you're into public speaking, if you speak to audiences, you're once again going to find yourself standing before an audience who are all in the same room instead of lots of little squares on your computer screen. Now, when that happens, and it will happen, there's something I'd like to tell you about speaking to an audience all in the same room, particularly if they're seated theatre style. Because I've seen this many times with really good speakers. And it's this: the people who know the speaker by reputation, or because they've met him or her personally and know that he or she's a good speaker, will get there early enough to get those seats right in the front row, and maybe 2 or 3 rows back in the centre. And those that are a bit suspicious as to whether or not the speaker's going to be boring will seat themselves near the back, possibly near the aisle, so they can make a surreptitious exit if they do find the speaker boring. And what happens is that the speaker, so many of us, tend to favour the people at the front with our eye contact. I've spoken to other speakers many times in an evaluation. Look at the back of the room. Give them some feeling of involvement. And so often it's not done. A speaker stands there at the front, looking down at those close by, the first 2 or 3 rows, maybe a glance back to the 4th row, if there's 10 rows, and the people at the back feel neglected. Now remember, it's the people at the back who might not have heard you speak before. It's the speakers at the back who will expand your reputation as a good speaker if you connect with them, if they appreciate your contact and eye contact. So do not neglect the people at the back of the room. Those at the front, sure, give them some eye contact, make them feel involved, and they will be, but don't forget the people at the back of the room. In one of my longer stories, I actually create a scenario whereby I have people seated around an imaginary table. And then I suddenly give identities to 3 of the people, and it's always in the front row, and I put hypothetical words in their mouth to carry the story on. Now, this can only be done if you've got people seated very close to you. It doesn't work if they're a long way away. So the tendency is to focus on the people nearby. But at the same time, do not neglect the whole audience, especially those that are seated at the back of the room and who haven't heard you for the first time. They could well be the people who are going to spread your reputation as a speaker far and wide and get you further gigs, get you further chances to speak. The ones at the front know you already. They know you're good. That's why they sat at the front. Concentrate at least equally on those seated at the rear of the room.